Hey, yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Billboard hip-hop editor Carl Lamarre, and we're live in Atlanta for a special episode of Audiomack Own The Label for Black Music Month. I'm with the Dynasty. I like to call them the Big Three, the three-headed monster, Kyrie, Kevin, and James. I'm here with Generation Now. My brothers, how we living?
Looking good, man. Looking good. I like that. I like that.
I'm a Laker fan.
I'm a Laker fan too. I'm gonna let you slide.
We can go Magic, Kareem, Worthy.
Oh, okay. Let's do that.
Let's do it. Yeah. I mean, listen, we're doing this for Black Music Month. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the HBCU vibe that we got here with the Black entrepreneurs.
Yeah, man.
Let's talk about, first off, before we dive into the questions, like just that Black experience being at an HBCU and how that molded y'all to where y'all
went to HBCU too?
I went to Howard.
Oh,
come
nice.
on, man.
Oh, that's what's up.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
We all repping.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
We all repping.
All right. That's what's up.
So talk about like how that Black experience growing up kind of molded your, mindset to break into the music industry.
Oh, you gonna go?
I mean, I remember for me, like early on, when I was discussing like colleges even with my dad and like him telling me, how he thought he didn't go to a HBCU, but how he realized just in his experiences and his connections through college and that time of your life and the relationships and the bonds you meet, how he felt it might be a good choice for me. You know what I'm saying? When I think about it, and when I think about being in the AUC at the time and the space where I met these guys and a lot of other friends we have and like just what those relationships and what those bonds meant, growing up with that experience was everything. You know what I'm saying? I think about it all the time, like, man, where would I be, if I wouldn't have came to Atlanta, if I wouldn't have went to CAU or met these guys, you know what I'm saying? And, I feel like, God puts us in spaces and places when we don't even realize it at times, and things are meant to be and destinies at times. So it was everything, you know what I'm saying? I mean, even from a experience as a DJ, personally, like coming from Philly and learning, coming to school down here and being in an environment where you had so many, young Black people or young people of color from all over the diaspora of, the world, United States, and the different types of music and records that, each region was listening to, and how I just learned to really adapt and, be well-rounded. Like, it was, that I don't think I would be here if it wasn't for that.
Yeah. I feel the same way, but, I took a trip to Atlanta first, in 11th grade, and when I saw so much fun and just like a equal balance of people really getting to it, learning how to be entrepreneurs, like, they had this thing called the Strip, and they was just selling stuff, and I was like, wow, people out here making money, then they were having fun, and then people was kind of getting along, and then the other schools were surrounding it. So I was like, man, I don't want to go to something like Cheney and just not get the benefits of Lincoln, or go to, Howard and have to travel to go to Morgan State. I got 3 colleges here, and then at the time, Morris Brown was there, so that's 4. So I'm actually, if I got tired of being at Clark, I could walk over, I was at Spelman all the time, you know what I'm saying? It was just fun, so it was just all them, them 4 schools. I was like, man, if I get a chance to, get accepted, I want to come down there. And then, once I got down, I really realized it was a bigger play for me, you know what I mean?
I like that. Yeah. I like that.
For me, it was really like my first time really seeing progressive Black people. Like, I know that may sound a little crazy, but like growing up where I came from, like on the South Central side of LA, like you see your traditional hustlers, you know what I'm saying? You may see somebody with a good job, but coming to Atlanta, I was meeting dudes whose parents were doctors. Some people's parents were CEOs of their own companies, and I had never really heard of stuff like that. So to me, that was the ultimate inspiration, like when I'm surrounded by all these Black people that are actually doing something progressive, you know what I'm saying? And then, honestly, like the relationships that I built there have literally carried me throughout my life, more than the education. As crazy as that sounds, the relationships have carried me way more than anything I learned in constitutional law, anything I learned in any class, economics. Maybe that helped a little bit, but ultimately, the thing that I value the most is my phone book or my Rolodex that I kept from there, you know what I'm saying? So that's been the biggest thing, definitely.
That's a bar. Yeah. That's a bar. I mean, listen, you guys are all savants in y'all respective rights.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? My man Lake was killing it on the management side, drama on the mixtape side, my man Cannon on the production side.
Yeah.
How did y'all take your personal, like, journeys and experience to create Generation Now? Because that's 3 monstrous skill sets to build one fire foundation.
I mean, you explained it really. Like, you know, just being truthful, I think all 3 of us probably could have done it on our own. You know what I'm saying? Just being truthful. Like, Cannon's worked at a label, Drums worked at a label. I've managed tons of artists. Like, I think we all could have said, yo, we could start our own label. But, you know, strength is in numbers, you know what I mean? And I think taking the stress of the other 2 things off of the one person and letting that one person focus on, like, what they're actually best at, I think that's why we kind of succeed. Like, we let everybody do what they're best at and kind of stay out of each other's way. Yeah.
I like that. I'm curious because when you have, like I said, superstar mindsets, like that trust, how does it come in to develop that trust among your teammates? Like, you know what, Drama got this, or you know what, Cannon got this, because sometimes egos tend to dictate the situation, and that's where a lot of labels flounder.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes in, you know, for us, like the respect level, like the love, the admiration, you know, and going through trials and tribulations. Like, you know, we've all been at it for quite some time, you know, and we've you know, like we told you before, like we're a prime example that you can mix friends and business, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, for us, just I think having that foundation, you know, and having that years of friendship, you know, on top of all of our successes in our own right, you know, I think it's kind of easy for us to put the ego aside. You know, we know our strengths, we know we know each other's strengths, you know what I'm saying? And it's easy for us to, you know, come together and like play team basketball.
I love that. I mean, listen, I don't gotta go through the stats. I don't gotta go through the roster. We know y'all got some bad boys over there. The Lil Uzi verse, the Jack Harlows, the Seti Hendrix. I think what I'm curious about is, we know how y'all were able to break Uzi. Was it harder to break Jack, knowing what you were able to do with Uzi? Because I think a lot of labels, they struggle with, okay, we broke our first artist. How do we break our second artist?
Yeah.
And if so, what lessons did you take from breaking Uzi that you brought over to trying to break Jack?
That's tough, because I always say, you know, our threshold is people telling us we can't do it. So once we get do it, that's almost like, oh, we won then. If you tell me you love it from the jump, I get scared. Like, oh snap, you really like this? You know what I'm saying? When they say, nah, that ain't gonna work. He ain't that type of artist. You ain't gonna be bigger. You know, y'all would flip out if you heard the things they would say every time it's like an audition every time that they'll tell us, well, he ain't that, or this ain't gonna work. That's bigger than that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think our threshold is like people telling us like, yo, that ain't gonna work. We get excited when it happens. I mean, we've been doing this the whole career. They tell us for each department that we work in. And we're all creatives. We all know how to manage. We all know how to do business. But anything we're doing, they always tell us, nah, you can't do that. Every time. And I think we've just gotten better. And that's just what we kind of, you know, get over on. Just saying, okay, we got a lot of work to do. And, you know, that's what we do.
It's like a mixture between confidence and gambling, you know, and putting those both two in a pot. And again, you know, that's our repertoire. Like, that's our history. Like, you know, when we made Trap or Die, it was asking us what's going to come after that, you know, and it was Drop Dedication. So, you know, we use that same blueprint when it comes to running our label. Like, you know, I mean, for us, and for a lot, you know, I think it's the same challenges that a superstar artist may go through when they make their debut album and then they have to come with their sophomore album, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, we look at it the same way. You got to keep doing it, you know. Every year, like, every team wants to keep winning championships, you know what I'm saying? So that's how we approach the game.
How do y'all balance personalities? Not even from the artist standpoint. I mean, obviously it helps that you guys are friends. But sometimes, you know, we all have bad days and shit. You know what I'm saying? How do y'all balance, like, the personalities among the three of y'all? And then we could jump into how do y'all balance personalities, different personalities from the artist standpoint?
You want to hear some funny shit? Just talk shit about each other. Real shit, because you get it out on the line. Everything's transparent. We all know what's going on.
Yeah.
Period. Like, even if we was second guess, like, damn, I wonder what we talk shit about it. Like, me and him might talk shit about him. He may talk shit about me. We talk, but then at the end of the day, we'd be like, oh, we got it out on the table. A lot of people keep shit in, and then 6-7 years blows up. Like, why I ain't fuck with you when you did this? We just. everything's there. You know what I'm saying?
It's really an open conversation. I mean, you experienced it for a few minutes in there. Like
That's
you
what we
dealing
do.
with three different
That's
people,
what we do.
three different personalities, and nobody's gonna hold back how they feel. You know what I'm saying? So, like in the end, I think it works just because like one thing we always like stress is transparency. You know what I mean? So I think we're not afraid to have like a tough conversation with each other because I don't think when we're done having the conversation, our friendship ain't gonna end. You know?
That's right.
So
I love that.
I don't mind having a rough conversation with them, as you can see.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Y'all friendship is on 100. Like, but I'm curious, like, how do you maintain that level of transparency with your artists? Because a lot of artists sometimes could be temperamental, could be sensitive. Do you like kind of fall back a little bit on the transparency and honesty, or do you still keep it to a certain degree?
I think that's where the benefit of having three of us is because I think they know who to go to get what. You know what I mean? I think they strategically know who to talk to when they want to get the most blunt answer, when they want to get an alternative, or maybe somebody giving them 3 or 4 perspectives, they know who to go to. If they know somebody's just going to shut it down, they know who to go to. You know what I mean? So I think with that, I think that's where the benefit is for all three of us. Like, we can, if there's a situation, we always discuss who's the best person to attack that situation and then move forward, whether it's making a phone call, whether it's having a discussion with an artist, whether it's asking an artist something that we may want them to do. Like, we figure out the best person to have that conversation with them, you know, so that works to our benefit.
That's right. What would you guys say is or was the most challenging hurdle you've had to overcome since working together, creating Generation now?
Oh, plenty of them. As simple as it sounds, one of the things that I felt challenging was crazy is trying to come up with the name for the company.
Really?
Yeah, it took us some months to really, because we built so many brands and just wanted to have the right brand, but we knew we wanted to do it, so we were just like, name it anything. We got what we, you know what I'm saying? But I think to me that was one of the most challenging things. All the other stuff just comes with the game, but just having a proper brand name to be able to move and figure out how you want the logo to look, and you know what I mean, and experience, like how the experience people gonna experience. And it was right under our noses. Drum says all the time, but I was like, yo, for months we was like, what we gonna name this shit? What we gonna name this shit? You know what I'm saying? So that was just like the beginning trials. You know, all the rest of the stuff be like, you'll get through it. But just trying to, when you building something to start, it's like, oh shit, like what's the beat gonna sound like? What's the rap? What's it gonna look like? How we gonna defend it? You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the, you know, toughest challenges for me per se. I don't know if they had some different, you know.
What about you, Drum?
You know, I mean, besides that, that definitely was one. I think obviously like the most like public one would be the space we were in when, you know, Uzi might have had some negative things to say about us or the company per se, and just, you know, kind of I remember there was a space like when there were some artists out there that, you know, we were vying for or interested in as well, and we kind of felt like, you know, that our brand, like, you know, might have had a little stench to it, you know what I'm saying, as far as what people may have thought of Generation Now per se. So, you know, I think that was an obstacle for us that we were very comfortable and content while we were going through it, but we knew we were going through it, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, just that I feel like, you know, it's to the, you know, pats on our back to staying level-headed throughout it, you know what I'm saying, throughout that situation. So, you know, and then kind of coming out on the other side and, you know, yeah, and, you know, really being able to rep what Generation Now stands for and, you know, still hold that brand up strong and wave that flag.
Y'all rebounded well from that. Like,
I really can't say too much more, man. That's pretty much what it was. I think rebounding from that was big for us, and I think overall just branding the company, you know, because for a long time people didn't really understand what it was. Some people thought it was a management company. Yeah. Some people didn't know it was a record label. Some people just thought that Cannon produced, you know, and they didn't have a real understanding of what we actually do. So I think branding the company has been like something that we're focusing on now.
I like that. Yeah. All great answers. Rhonda, you touched on something. I'm curious to get the guys' thoughts on this. What advice would you give to a label who is at war or at odds? I'll say at odds is better. At odds with an artist. in terms of, you guys are trying to repair the relationship because shit happens. Life happens sometimes. How do you repair that relationship to keep it not just business as usual, but you try to keep it productive for both sides?
For me, I would probably say, again, I used the word already, but transparency is something that's super key. And, the toughest part about this conversation is you can say what you can do, but there's another person on the other side of it. You know what I mean? So, as much advice as you may be willing to give, there may be somebody that's not really receptive to it, So I think, first of all, you have to learn to listen. I think that's something that we all could have probably done a little better. Even though I don't think we didn't listen, I'm just trying to think of anything that we could have done better, but maybe become a good listener. I like to nip situations in the bud and have upfront conversations, but sometimes it's an uncomfortable conversation because on the real, a lot of artists don't understand their business until they get involved in the actual business of music. Because when you sign your deal initially, you're living off a loan, but as you start generating money and making money and seeing who you pay and what you bring in and so on and so forth, that's where the questions arise. And if you're really not engaged at the beginning, it's hard to catch up on the tail end. It's like figuring out how to do anything at the tail end. And your first instinct is going to be something's wrong rather than diving into the information and receiving it, So I think transparency is one thing. I think artists being open and communicating their issues is a big thing too. And other than that, if you got that, if you got an artist that's willing to communicate and a label that's willing to listen, I think it'll work. But most of the time, it's either one isn't doing the other. You know what I mean?
Agreed. Cannon?
Again, I think it was well said.
Yeah.
I think it's hard for me because I'm in a creative space. So sometimes in order to create, you get closer to the artist. You know what I'm saying? And when you get closer, the friction kind of messes up the music vibe sometimes. So I just get in this space where I'm just like, it's sticky. But as I grow and as I learn myself, I notice certain things I'm just not going to do anymore and just not be, for the nonsense when it comes to, the back and forth.
Of course.
Yeah, I just can't do it. I'm just, I watch other companies go through it and I was like, man, what's the difference? You know what I'm saying? What's the difference between us?
And we finding out that it's kind of normal. You know what I'm saying?
It's everywhere.
It's
everywhere.
I talk to executives about this all the time, and they always tell me like a good situation is the anomaly. You know what I mean? Like 9 out of and it shouldn't be like that. But that's what I hear. You know what I'm saying? Now how it plays out in public is something totally different. And that's something that isn't necessarily under our control all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think. That's
Listen, y'all are some bad boys when it comes to sniffing out these young cats. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we know about the Lil Uzi verse, the Jack Harlows, the Setties. Like, what qualities make an artist, a generation now caliber artist? How do y'all sniff to find these acts? What stands out?
That's tough because I will always say what me and Drum did over the years with any mixtape was just generation now. Anybody we did a tape with, everything was brand new. Paul Wall was brand new. When we did Slim Thug, anybody that we were working with was just brand new, and I think that's just what our makeup has been. You know what I mean? So I just think that anybody pushing the culture forward with the right mindset and conviction, I'm sure they are. And the good thing about this, I don't know if I really said it, is just that we can always have a convo about something, because the stigma about who finds who, what, there's always been in a conversation, but I want to always clarify and say, we came together in a huddle and said this is what we're going to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I like about, finding artists, because we could always depict it. We could have these same combos we had, like, is he better than so-and-so, or is he this, that? And we could just kind of make a roundabout agreement on who we're going to mess with and who we think is going to move the culture forward. And they're all different artists. Nobody's the same. We didn't go and get the same Jack Harlow. We didn't go get another Uzi. We didn't go get, Seti, or we just keep making different attempts to give you, a wide range of people that can change the game. You know what I mean?
Great. Drum?
I mean, I think, you know, one thing our artists have in common, you know, they're all students of the game. You know, they take their craft very seriously, you know, very passionate. You know, we've always kind of, you know, again, like Cannon said, I mean, like, and I could say for myself, this definitely comes from mixtape culture, like just the addiction to new shit and like fresh, you know what I'm saying? So obviously our name, Generation Now, you know, when we look for artists, we look for, you know, things that are exciting, that are new, that are different from what you may have seen. And then, yeah, like I just think that we look for artists that, you know, we like to build careers, you know what I'm saying? It's not just, obviously it's about records, but, you know, even for us, like we come from a background where like just the conversations we have about the culture, like, you know, we know how important that album is, you know what I'm saying? Of course, hit records are amazing, but, you know, the artists that we truly have these combos about and culture and rap back and forth, like, you know, these are people we talk about who has classic albums.
Yeah.
And, you know, how many times have they done it? And that's the type of conversations we like to have, even when it comes to what we do and what we bring to the table and what our artists do. You know, when it comes to Gen Now, it's like, you know, career building artists, like, you know, that are on those Mount Rushmores and those conversations of who's the GOATs of their generation, per se.
And what I love, and you guys, you know, touched on it, obviously before the interview, in case y'all didn't know, we were just kicking and talking shit about the culture.
Hours.
You know what I'm saying? Hours just talking about it. But you guys give off that very artist-friendly vibe. Like, I remember talking to Jack, and Jack's like, yo, I could talk to these guys about anything.
Yeah.
Like, they my big bros, kind of. Like, how did y'all develop that artist-first mentality to cater to make sure that they're taken care of?
Well, because they're basically artists. He's a producer. He's basically an artist, and I've always been in artist management prior. So we come from taking care of, you know, people like you were saying before. Like the relationship with us is a lot more than business. Like, it's personal. Like, we got group texts with all our, you know, with all the guys. Like, we really try to keep it like a family atmosphere, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes it doesn't work to our benefit, but, you know, who we are is who we are, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, we could try to build a red room in there, do what we gotta do, you know, but, you know, but ultimately that just ain't how we do business, and that don't mean we ain't with it, or, you know, they not from Philadelphia and I'm not from LA.
Right.
For real, we just some grown men that really don't want to do no bullshit, you know, for lack of a better term.
That's a fucking fact.
Yeah, so that's
For real.
That's a fucking fact.
Yeah, that's
what would y'all say each of y'all got your championship moment was for you know, being in Generation Now?
Oh, man.
That's a good question.
Tough question.
I think the interview with you was big for us, bro.
No, listen, that was a ring.
Don't make me cry right now.
No, that was a ring.
I ain't gonna do that.
That was a ring.
That was big for us, bro.
No doubt.
And I remember even the Clubhouse call after when Clubhouse first started, and you had that room with all those people. It was all these powerful people, and it's like, dang, we on the stage with, you know, with Kevin Lyles. These are people that we've done business with for years, but, you know, when it's all said and done, we're still fans of this shit, you know. So,
No question.
you know, to be even thought about or be in competition with a dude like Kevin Lyles, or come right behind a dude like him, you know what I'm saying? Or even to be, you know, heard and listened to, and when people speak, somebody actually listen to you, because we always feel like we know what we're talking about, but we don't feel like people are always listening. So, you know, that's really what it is, man.
That was what
that was big.
that was big.
That was big.
And now, I guess the bigger question is, how do you maintain that?
I mean, that's the question that we've been answering and asking for our whole careers, honestly. So, you know, for us, that's like, I think we work well under those terms, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I don't know, I think we work well, even still feeling like the underdogs at time, and just, you know, keep going for the gusto. Like, that's what we've been doing for 20 years, is maintaining, you know what I'm saying? And understanding how important consistency and relevancy is, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, that's staying on the cutting edge, and, you know, having a good team, you know, amongst us and, you know, our staff and, you know, our whole label, our employees as well, and just like keeping our ears, you know, whether it's to the streets, whether it's to the internet, however, whether it's to, you know, just the you know, the sources of however, you know, we find out and hear new artists, like, you know, it never stops. Like, that grind, that passion and that grind is instilled within us. So that's something we do naturally, honestly.
And I just got to stay close to them.
There you
Because
go.
they've been doing it. You know what I'm saying? Real rap.
And just keep it going.
I've seen them go through a raid, through mixtapes, through being producers, through being artists, through being CEOs. Like, even if this music don't work, as long as we stick together, we gonna figure something out.
That's
Like,
right.
they done figured it out every time.
That's how you do it.
Every time.
Is,
So,
is there like an underrated gem or piece of advice you guys got back in the day that you wish you can use today?
It's tough to say that because I always say, when we were coming up, we didn't have no mentor that came put their arm around us like, yo, I see what y'all doing. This is the gym.
Mm-hmm.
We always was just like, we made a lot of mistakes because it was just us. We were trying to figure it out. You know, we had some alliances and, you know, people that was coming through, but they were fresh and new too. We just didn't have like, you know, the Russell Simmons come say, yo, guys, this is how you really do the thing. You know what I'm saying? We just was going for what we know. Like early we went in, we was young, we walked in Asylum and got a label deal. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we didn't, I think we knew, but we didn't know what we were doing at the time. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So I can't really remember any gem. There's some that we caught that we probably wasn't supposed to catch.
Yeah.
And we just like, implemented it. But I don't think it was one thing that was like, we can go back and say that's the gem every time if we need that source of inspiration. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
I probably would just say, you know, I first remember when Leor walked into the old Grand Hustle Studios early on, and you know, I just was blessed to be in the room at the time when him and T.I. was talking, and Leor telling Tip in 03 that content was going to be king, you know, and just where the world is now, and just, you know, even thinking about our own careers. I mean, we have, you know, things documented, but just thinking about how much more we could have and should have documented, you know, through our history and you know, through our story, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that probably more than anything was a gem that I'll never forget.
yeah, that's crazy because Kevin Lyles told me the same thing in a meeting when I was in there playing some stuff for producers. And this was way prior to content. Like, honestly, when he said that, I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, does he mean videos? Like, what does he mean? He was like, no, we're about to be in the content business.
Wow.
And 10 years later,
Wow.
here we are. Here we are.
Wow.
You know, so,
Damn, that's crazy.
What's the best piece of advice you would give to growing label owners trying to find their way in this game? Because I feel like a lot of them struggle with, you know, trying to find a way, clearly. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of patience. But what gems would you give to those trying to carve a way in this industry?
for me, I would say don't count a win until it's an actual win. Like, I think that's a problem a lot of like young labels have when they first start. Like you have to understand that like success in this business takes a long time, and it takes a lot of steps, and you can't get discouraged by the steps, but you also can't let each step make you feel like you're on top of the world either. You know what I mean? Like he always says, we perform under pressure. I think that's huge. Like, after we do something, we don't sit back and be like, yeah, we did that. We're always like, damn, we got to do something else because, you know, time's about to run out. So just, you know, we're not easily satisfied. So you can't be that, and you have to be persistent and consistent. So
That's a bar.
yeah.
I like that.
Drum, Cannon.
I would just say maintain a good level, so you know you don't get too high off the highs or too low off the lows. You know what I'm saying? And just know that, you know, it's hills and valleys. You know what I'm saying? It's life. You know what I mean? And you know, nobody's story is written, but most importantly, like, you know, if you don't get too high up here when things aren't going good, you don't fall too low down here. You know what I'm saying? And you know, just confidence level.
I'm with that. Good. I'm good.
I love how y'all just pretty much fill each other's blanks in. Like, you know
I
what?
was just gonna say it's a Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? If you ever seen that show, you know exactly what you're getting out of this game. There's gonna be some wild things. There's gonna be some things that you can learn from. You know, it's just, you know, we did good. You know, defending ourselves. You know what I mean? We took the right proper steps. So I just, you know, anybody. Like, I always wanted people to watch. So, you know, I want to watch the people. And, you know, if y'all want to learn, just watch the people that came before you. You know what I
There
mean?
you go. Humbly.
Yeah, that's it.
Humbly.
That's all you can get out of that.
Thanks.
Before we let y'all go, any final words y'all want to give the fans and the viewers out here?
content is king.
That's a bar, though.
I just learned that today. Like,
Yeah.
I knew it in my brain, but I was like, damn, that's a bar.
Imagine saying that like 10 years ago, though,
That's
when
a
that
bar,
shit was
bro.
nothing. You know?
Jeez.
I'm gonna just leave it on, you know, him saying that, and what, you know, what came around 360 for me is when I remember the first time Leor came to Main Street. He actually came over there to meet Thug, and it was a Travis Scott concert. That was a Weekend or Travis Scott? It was Weekend concert, and Leor came early. And he was sitting in the lounge at the other building, and I was just showing him around. And I remember him passing our office at the time, and him saying, "Generation Now, what's Generation Now?" And I was like, "That's the name of our label." And he was just like, "Amazing name, what a amazing name,
What a wonderful name.
And I remember texting him like, "Yo, Leor just said Generation Now. It's fine." You know, this was still early Uzi, so he wasn't even familiar. Obviously, our company we were still in the building processes. So, yeah, I mean, I would just say, you know, watch what comes next, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, if you can think it, you know, you can build it, you know what I mean? Like, we're examples of that in so many ways. Like, we've built brands just out of ideas, you know what I'm saying? So anything's possible.
Yeah. Y'all just came with a shit ton of bars today. y'all just dropped a bunch of bars today. I hope y'all received the gospel today. The word of Generation Now.
Yeah.
Live in Atlanta, here with my brothers.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm expecting another banner.
Oh, man.
Absolutely.
It's
Yes,
coming.
sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Say less. Y'all. Appreciate y'all for kicking it with Audiomack on the label, Generation Now.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
We just got to do